There's a version of you that clings to comfort. It hits snooze, overthinks, avoids challenge, and it's quietly holding you back. That version isn't loud, but slowly, day by day, it's eroding everything you could become. And unless you stand up and destroy it, it will consume you. There's a weaker version of yourself that seeks comfort. It sleeps in, it fears rejection, it dodges responsibility. And it's not just keeping you stuck, it's destroying the future you were meant for. If you don't rise and destroy that soft self, it won't scream, it'll silently take over. Day by day, Stoicism doesn't ask you to be perfect. It demands discipline, and that journey begins with one brutal decision: to let go of the fragile self that can't handle discomfort and instead choose to be forged in it. 1. Identify the weak self. You already know who that version is. You feel it every time you hesitate, procrastinate, or justify doing nothing. It shows up when you cave to temptation. It whispers excuses when things get hard. That version wasn't born overnight. It was sculpted every time you picked comfort over challenge, every time you walked away from discipline. And the more you fed it, the more it became your default. But here's the truth: what you've been is not what you're destined to be. Stoics like Epictetus didn't sugarcoat life. He said, difficulties show men what they are, and in that difficulty, you find truth. If life is showing you your weakness, it's not punishing you. It's revealing your next battlefield. And your job is clear: stop running. Name it, face it, deliberately dismantle it. Point 2. Choose discipline over motivation. Motivation is a fair weather friend. It shows up when things are exciting or easy. The weak self depends on that feeling. The strong self builds systems, not dreams. Marcus Aurelius woke every morning to a battle with himself. He reminded his mind, I was made for action, not luxury. Not to lie in warm blankets, but to rise and fulfill my role as a human being. That's not fantasy. That's war with your weaker self. When you choose discipline, you silence the part of you waiting to feel ready. You train yourself to act, regardless of how you feel. That's where power begins. Because when motivation fades, willpower remains. Every time you choose what's necessary over what's easy, you chip away at your old self. That's how warriors are made, not by bursts of inspiration, but by deliberate repetition. Discipline isn't a trait, it's a practice. And that practice is what destroys the fragile self clinging to ease. You learn that discipline, not motivation, is what helps you break the weaker version of yourself. But to truly build strength, you must do one more thing: voluntarily face discomfort. 3. Voluntary discomfort, the path to strength. You want to be strong, then stop running from the very thing that builds strength, discomfort. The Stoics didn't train in luxury. Seneca, for example, would sleep on the ground, wear simple clothes, and give up comforts. Not because he was poor, but because he was preparing for life. He wanted to know that if fortune left him, he'd still have himself. When you seek discomfort deliberately, you take back control. You stop fearing the unknown. Cold showers, fasting, hard training, tough conversations, these are tools for growth. Yes, they hurt. And that's the point. The weak version of you will scream when things get hard. That's its survival mechanism. But every time you ignore the scream and face the pain with awareness, you weaken that voice until one day it disappears entirely. Growth is not found where things feel safe. It's found on the edge of your capacity, in the fire that either breaks you or burns away everything. 4. Control your emotions or be controlled by them. Your emotions aren't the enemy, but your attachment to them might be. The weak self reacts, it gets angry, jealous, defensive. It takes everything personally. But the Stoic self breathes, it observes, it waits, then it responds with intention. If someone disrespects you, the weak self wants to lash out. The strong self stays calm, not out of fear, but because it knows that restraint is power. You destroy the weak self every time you pause before reacting, every time you ask, is this worth my energy? Seneca said, we suffer more in imagination than in reality. That's your mind playing tricks turning emotions into monsters. So you must train not just your habits, but your responses. Discipline of the mind is just as critical as discipline of the body. The more you master your emotional world, the less the external world can shake you. That is the real battlefield, your perception. Conquer that, and the rest of life becomes far less intimidating. 5. Build a daily practice of inner mastery destroying. The weak version of yourself isn't a one-time event, it's a lifestyle. Every day, the weak self will try to rise again, and every day you must bury it again. How? Through ritual, through reflection, through consistent inner work. It starts with waking up early and asking, how will I show up in the world today? It continues with journaling at night, not to complain. We saw that destroying your weaker self isn't a one-time decision. It's a daily commitment, a way of living. And that transformation begins in silence, the path to your stronger self is not built in public, but in the quiet moments when no one is watching. Journaling is not just venting, it's how you audit your soul, how you face yourself honestly, without shame but also without excuses. Marcus Aurelius wrote, meditations as reminders to himself, not for others, because he understood the real work happens in silence, when you remove the distractions, when you say no to the easy way, when you align your actions with your values. Even when it's hard and unseen, that's when your stronger self is forged, not through accomplishments, but through consistent alignment with principle, again and again, especially when it's hard. Destroying the weak self means becoming intentional. It means discipline is no longer optional, it becomes your oxygen. Without it, you suffocate. Without it, you drift. But never forget, the weak self will always try to return. It will disguise itself as comfort, laziness, pleasure, distraction. It knows how to wear a mask. Don't be fooled. You owe nothing to the past version of yourself. The moment you see it clearly, you must choose evolve or repeat. Marcus Aurelius said, waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. So, be ruthless with your excuses, be loyal to your higher nature, and begin the destruction of your weaker self today.